Hey, what's up? It's Kathy, and I'm back with another photo focus, and this is another two-page layout. So be prepared. It's going to be a longer video than normal, but I'm doing twice the layouts essentially. So I could only cut out so much. I didn't want you guys to miss out too much of it. So as you can see, I'm starting with two different colored papers there from the same company, which I think is a company called Authentique. That I've bought a few things from before, just kind of seeing it in a store. I'm not really used to buying a lot of their stuff, but this was back before I was buying anything well, I don't mean brand name, but like Dear Lizzie stuff or Amy Tangerine stuff. This is way back before that. Anyway, so the reason I'm using two different color papers is I couldn't find two papers. I don't buy a lot of double amounts of paper unless I like both sides. And in this case, I'm pretty certain this came with two of every paper, except I stored away or donated some of them and only kept one of each. So then I was out of luck for this. So I'm going to do the next best thing, which is use two of the same, one darker, one lighter. And I really liked the turnout in the end with it. And I grabbed a whole bunch of papers from my stash. Some were really old, like my mind's eye, kind of vintage papers. This is a chance for me to use up some of these papers that I really liked but never got a chance to use. Sorry, it's early morning and I have to clear my throat. I arranged my photos with, like, this is every month for the first year of my daughter, and so it starts at number 1 with her in the little headband, and the last one is her crawling in the little dress. So it goes across both ways. Anyway, and I'm just going to be fiddling around with which colors I want to use for all of them, and it did take me a while to figure this out, so I really did cut down some of what you saw, and that was strictly because you did not want to see me fiddling around with every single paper going, is that the paper I want to put behind that? Is that the paper I want to put behind that? Anyway, I wanted papers that would kind of accent the photos and ones that would stand out well against the backgrounds. So I cut them out. I left them a little bit larger than I wanted them, so I could cut them down as much as I want, and so I could tear some of the edges. It's not really going to be all that noticeable that the edges are torn, but it's just how I wanted to do it. I didn't pop the photos themselves up on foam, but I'm going to pop them now that they're backed on foam. And I apologize if you guys can hear my kids. I'm recording this and they just got up. There's no school today, so I let them sleep in, but they're awake now, and they don't really get that concept of maybe be quiet a little. Anyway, so I'm just going to tape them all down, and I want them fairly close to the edge that they could look like their own pages. So they could, as I was saying, they could look like they were their own layouts as well as part of this whole layout. So I'm not too worried about them being straight. Each paper that's backing a photograph isn't the exact same size as the other one, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's kind of what I'm going for with this. I just want it to be a fun, simple, sweet layout. And I'm reaching back into colors and designs that we don't seem to really use all that much anymore, but I remember them being really popular several years ago when everyone was kind of doing a little bit of more of like a vintage style. I have this cut apart sheet, and I think this design was originally from My Mind's Eye, and then I bought it as a Recollections paper pad, so it's much, much thinner than their normal paper, and it kind of sucks, but I'm going to use it. I found it in some stash, and I wanted those cute little banners, and I'm going to cut out a few of them. I originally cut out 3 for each side, and then I don't really like some of them, like that beautiful one. I don't really like the font in it, and there was one that said Spunky, and it was really cute, except the font that they chose, it was really hard to see that the word was actually spunky, because it's kind of this old Western one. And I was like, I'm just not feeling it. So by getting rid of those two, then I end up with 4, so 2 on each side. And then it was just a matter of which colors go on each side. There's a lot of yellows on the right hand side, like a lot of yellows and oranges, and a lot of blues and pinks on the left hand side. So I'm trying to kind of split them up a little bit, but I also want them to match, so it's a little tricky. I wanted to put the month on each photo, and I just wanted some kind of neutral circle. So as you can see, I had a piece of packaging from Pinkfresh Studio, and I just punched out a whole bunch of circles. And the circle punch I was using, I had to cut out me doing the circle punching, because I had to essentially slam the punch down because it's really dull and I haven't sharpened it, and it didn't want to cut through, so I had to kind of like punch it literally punch the punch to get it to cut out. But I did, and I like the little neutral circles. They still have a stripe, of course. Heaven forbid I just use like white paper. And so I'm going to use different alphas for the numbers. And I think I was actually wrong. I didn't do it across. I did it up and down, now that I remember. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 on the left hand side, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But you could do it both ways and it would work. It would work well. I just really liked the color, the photo choices. I thought that they worked well that way. So that was why I ended up doing it. So I'm going through my stash. I did have to cut a little bit of this out, and that's because my daughter had come in when I was filming this, and she was like spinning around in my chair and moving everything. But I'm trying to get a good smattering of different sizes. I don't mind if the numbers go off the circle. I kind of like that look. I want the numbers to stand out, but also not detract too much. And I don't want similar colors and sizes together, if that makes sense. So it was a little trying to figure out, like, as you can see, that 3 and that 7 are from the same alpha set. And I was like, well, that doesn't work. Because yes, they're going to be a little bit separated when they're in a photo album, but not that much that you won't notice it. So I end up moving some of it around just to kind of suit what I want. And I know there are still some numbers that end up being different numbers in the end. I had some Paige Evans from, I think, her first and current collection, old foam ones that it's the 2 and the 11, and I love those foam thickers. And I don't know, just something about that font, I just love it. And then there was some glittery ones, and then I found these other ones in my collection that are, I think they're actually supposed to be Halloween ones, and they are very kind of vintage looking, and they have green, like a green plaid on them. And I thought those worked perfectly. I am going to have to go back and glue some of them down. And the green puffy sticker ones are from Maggie Holmes, I think Shine. It was like a doll, it was called Doll or something was the font, and I accidentally bought 2 of them. So I'm trying to use them up as much as I can. I actually decided when going through all of my ephemera and embellishments that I really wanted to keep with that vintage inspiration, and so I grabbed a whole bunch of Pretty Little Studio stuff that I have, and a lot of it is cut aparts or the tiny mini die cuts from their vintage die cuts, because I bought some of the mini ones as well as some of the big ones, and I totally have to go back and buy more of their vintage die cuts. They are one of my favorite things to use. I love making a fun, almost modern looking layout and then adding the vintage colors to the crisp whites and stuff. I don't know, there's just that combo. I just love it. So I decided where I wanted to put stuff. I have these little kind of date cards. I don't know what they are. There's flowers and butterflies, and they have a little white spot where you could probably stamp something, but I'm not going to stamp anything. And originally I was going to put a banner across the top, but the pictures are kind of too high up, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just put the title up there, and I will put the banner along the bottom. I won't worry about it, you know, being a loosey-goosey one that's all connected by baker's twine or anything like that. So I'm just going to glue them. I'm kind of rolling them up, and that's making them stay. These were all cut-aparts that you can buy, and I just kind of mixed and matched from different little collections that I bought, and I really like how it looks. I think it's really cute. It's just, it totally reminds me of some older styled layouts, and I'm really liking it. And then there's those little fabric. I'm trying to get these so that they're in a spot that I like, but they're not covering the photos too much, I guess, if that makes sense. Of course, yeah. Of course that makes sense. We're all scrapbookers. This is what happens when I record early in the morning. So yeah, I'm still like flitting around, not knowing what I want to do. And I know, and then I was like, oh, I'll just put one up top and one down the bottom. And then I'm going to use these. These are from Martha Stewart back in the, back when I was just buying stuff at Michael's, and they're like felt fabric kind of ones, and they have a sticky back, and I'm almost out of them, which is fine. But I like that the birds were both sides, like they were turned two different ways, so I could use them on both sides. And I think I still have like a bunny left or something like that. And then I put in a few more die cuts, the little girl and the lamb, and these were clearanced at Michael's in the ribbon section, and they're like ribbon flowers, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use me some ribbon flowers. I only use 2 on each side. I do take some away because I kind of, as much as I like to use through my stuff, I also like to hoard things that I really like. So I used kind of a pink one and a like lipstick red one, and then I kept the dark red ones and a pink, like kind of fuchsia pink one. I really like the little rosettes. I think that they just kind of add that touch, and you guys know how much I like dimension and I like texture on my pages. So this just, between this and the fabric, flowers and everything, and then I'm going to add some of these little Dear Lizzie, not Dear Lizzie, Paige Evans charms from, is it Oh My Heart? I don't remember. Anyway, they're the ones that have the rose gold or the copper around the hearts, and I'm just going to glue them down, and just in random places. I'm kind of making this almost like as if I'm just tossing stuff on the photos. And these are BU from Pinkfresh Studio, so these are new and I got them in the paper issue shop, and I'm just kind of using a few of them just to add a little bit more in my embellishment clusters. And I really struggled with where to put these. It's kind of sad because I didn't want them with the other clusters. I wanted them on their own, and look, like I cannot decide. It's so sad. Anyway, I think I end up using 2 on each side as well, which is weird because that does end up being an even number, and I usually like to use 3s, but in the case of doing a double page layout, I prefer the even numbers as opposed, or yeah, like either it's going to be 3 on both sides, or 6 on both sides, or 2 on both sides, or 1 on each side. It's not going to be 3 on one side and 2 on another. So in this case, I prefer even number embellishments to odd number embellishments. So at this point, I know I'm going to put a title, and this is the exact same title I did for my son's first year too. It says, "What a Difference a Year Makes," which is a play on an older song called I think it's called "What a Difference a Day Makes." I think I kind of have it stuck in my head. Anyway, something like that. So So I'm using the exact same title, and maybe I'll make one of my youngest and do the exact same title again. So I really liked these foam thickers, except I don't like the color. It's just not quite what I'm looking for. And I want the year word to be bigger and a different font. So I decide, well, I'm going to make these the color I want. So I'm going to paint them. When you're painting foam, you can do it. It's pretty easy, but you're gonna have to do a few layers if you really want the color to show through. But it does have a really neat effect. And any of the leftover paint stuck to it, you can cut it off, no problem. So this is a Martha Stewart acrylic paint. I'm just going to paint them, let them dry, paint them, let them dry. I think I did it 3 times, and I painted the sides as well. But you could leave the sides and have it be the different color shining through. So I took another font, which I think was possibly a basic gray chipboard, and you can see it there. It's the year, and it was like a really light ice blue, and I painted it pink. So it's now more of like a mint and a pink, which I just love that color combination. I think it works really well for this, and I'm gonna start from the right hand side and work my way to the left for that part. Just so I didn't have to worry about moving them if they got in the wrong place. This one gave me a little bit of trouble because the Y was going to go down, and I didn't want it to be in a spot where it was going to ruin the picture or really detract from the picture. So it was like either I could move it over quite a bit or I could move it really close. You can see what I mean there. Like I could move it that way or I could move it more to the left. So I am going to fiddle around with where exactly I want to put it. And in the end, where I put it, I don't think really affects the picture. You can still see her face and everything like that. So, and it kind of helps spread out the word makes. And I don't think I end up using the exclamation mark because I don't really need it. The letters kind of make it all the way to the end. There's enough space from the edge on both sides, so it's kind of perfectly even that way. So the last thing I'm going to do is add ink splatters, of course, and I'm going to do different colors on each side. So on the light side, I'm going to do Heidi Swapp Blush, which is like a darker pink. And on the other side, I did try the blush and I didn't like it. So I'm actually going to take a Dylusions white and I'm going to do white splatters. And I really like the contrast. So this is another 2-page layout. And I did it without having 2 papers that were the same. And they stand well on their own and they make an awesome page. So yeah, pictures coming up. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.